we're going to start off reviewing how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide fractions. So to add fractions that don't have the same denominator, we need to find a common denominator. Easy way to find a common denominator is to multiply these two numbers together. Multiply your denominators together. 11 times 3 is 33. Once you do it this way, once you multiply these two denominators together, then you can cross multiply and get these numbers that go in the top. Now some students are confusing about which number goes where. At the end of the arrow is where you start. I need to start with this 3 and go across, multiply those two numbers together, and then put it right there. So 3 times 3 is 9. Since I'm adding in this problem, I'm going to put a plus right here. Now I need to multiply these two numbers together and place it right there. 11 times 2 is 22. Now I need to add those numbers in the top. 9 plus 22, 31 over 33. Subtracting. Again, if the denominators are different, I need to find a common denominator. So I'm going to multiply these two numbers together to get a common denominator, which will be 33. I'll look at the end of my arrow. That's where I need to start, and I need to go across and multiply these two together right here. Multiply 3 times 3. I get 9 minus these two multiplied together, 22. I need to remember my rules for adding and subtracting integers. If the signs are different, I subtract and take the sign of the bigger number. So if I subtract a 22 and a 9, I'm going to get 13. And then I take the sign of the larger number. So I'm going to get negative 13 over 33. So make sure you put the numbers in the right spot. You're going to start at the end of this arrow, then you're going to go across, and that's the first number you write down. Then you multiply these two numbers together and put it on the end. If it's an adding problem, you put adding. If it's a subtraction problem, you put subtraction. Now we're going to go over multiplying and dividing. Multiplying is really easy. To multiply two fractions together, you simply multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. So that's what I'm going to do. 3 times 2 is 6. 11 times 3 is 33. The thing I need to remember, though, is all fractions have to be reduced. All fractions have to be put in lowest terms. Is there a number that will go into 6 and 33? 3 will go into both of those. So I need to divide the top and the bottom by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 33 divided by 3 is 11. So make sure your fractions are reduced. Dividing fractions is almost as easy as multiplying. You've just got another step. So what some students are doing is they're flipping the wrong ones. They realize that I need to keep, change, and flip. But for some reason they're flipping this one right here. The second one is the one that you need to flip. The one that you're dividing by is what you need to flip. So you keep this one. You change this to multiplication. And then you flip the second fraction. Now this is a multiplication problem. How do you multiply fractions together? You multiply the top and you multiply the bottom. 3 times 3, 9. 11 times 2, 22. So that's a review of how to multiply and divide fractions. Next, we've got an order of operations problem. The mistake people are making with these order of operations problems is they're thinking of that little saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please means I do what's inside the parentheses. Excuse means I do any exponents. My, for some reason, because they memorize it that way, The my goes for multiplication, and they think they need to multiply before they divide. Multiplying and dividing is whatever comes first, going left to right. Another thing people are forgetting is to do what's inside the parentheses first. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is what's inside the parentheses. I'm going to write down my problem until I get to where I have parentheses, and I'm going to do what's inside the parentheses. Again, I need to remember my rules for integers. If the signs are different, I subtract. If I have a 2 and a 1 and I subtract them, what number do I get? I get a 1. Is it going to be a -1 or a +1? I take the sign of the larger number. I did what's inside the parentheses first. I don't have any exponents. Now I need to look going left to right and whatever comes first. If I have division before multiplication, then I need to do that. So as I'm going left to right, the first thing I run into is division. That means I need to divide these two numbers right here. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And then I write the rest of my problem down. Again, I go left to right looking for multiplication and division. The very first one I run into is this multiplication right here. I need to multiply these two numbers together. And I can go ahead and multiply these two numbers together. This is a -7 and a -1. A negative times a negative. The last thing I should be doing is adding and subtracting unless it's inside the parentheses. 6 plus 7, 13. The next problem students are having, they're unsure about the difference between simplify and solve. Solve means you have an equation, means there's an equal sign somewhere in this problem. There is no equal sign. What they want to do is simplify this problem. They want to simplify it where it doesn't have as many positive and negative signs, where it doesn't have parentheses, where some of the numbers are combined together to make one number. So the first step in simplifying this is to use my distributive property. Take that -3 that's on the outside and multiply it to what's on the inside, because any simplified problem does not have parentheses in it. -3 times x is -3x. I have some students that are forgetting to write this x, and then they're just writing down one number once they get to the end. This x goes with this -3 once you multiply them together. A negative times a negative is a +6. And then I just bring that -12 down. I need to simplify this by putting two numbers together that go together. This has an x. Nothing else has an x, so nothing goes with this. I bring down that -3x. These two can be combined together. Again, I'm going to use my rules for combining integers together. If the signs are different, and the signs are different because this is a +6 and a -12, if the signs are different, I subtract. If I have a 12 and a 6 and subtract them, what number do I get? 6. Is it going to be a +6 or a -6? Well, I take the sign of the larger number. 12 is a larger number, so this is going to be -6. I can't do anything else to simplify this. I can't combine anything else together because this has an x and this one doesn't. So this is the way my answer looks on this. I'm not solving anything. I'm just simplifying it. I'm making the problem smaller, easier to deal with.